The Rockpile Report, the pettiest, hardest drinking Bills podcast.
Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Rockpile Report podcast. I'm your host, Bills season ticket holder Drew Gear. That's my producer, Chris Kruger. We've got Ryan Lasal from Rock Sports Network in studio, and I'm not going to lie to you, it really is Uncle Sass and the Unemployeds tonight. It's Chris, how did this happen to you?
Just work stuff.
He goes, work stuff. He texted me and goes, it's a system failure. It's a system failure.
We won't get into it because people aren't supposed to know where I work.
Yeah.
That's a you thing. You started that.
I did start that, and then Chris saw the value in it. So what I know is that we're here tonight. This show is kind of a segue. We've talked a lot this week. We've already done 2 shows about free agency. We've talked about a lot of things. But what we haven't given you is a Bills news update.
Oh, I'm not even ready for it.
Yeah, of course you're not, because you're not producer of the year material. Maybe.
There we go.
Is that a new sound?
I like the sounder, baby.
That's a new sound.
That's a new sounder, baby. New year, new sound. And what I love is that Chris already is behind in the voting for producer of the year.
Behind you?
And he's the only one running. He's the only one running, and he's not winning.
Produced a show. Don't sell yourself short.
I produced a podcast.
Yeah.
Hey, let's not forget. Drew started it, and I had to correct it. We have an Instagram now.
You do. You're on the gram.
Specifically for the show.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Well, did you log in? And
Yeah, I logged in. Do you want to tell people the handle?
I have no idea. I don't even remember it.
Well, Drew set up the handle as at Rockpile Report 716 because he's an idiot.
No, because at Rockpile Report's already taken.
Yeah, it's taken by some Colorado
Rockies baseball team.
Some Denver sports, but they don't even post. So because Drew's not smart and his brain can't function past that, and went straight to numbers. So if you want to follow us on Instagram, the Rockpile Report podcast.
Yeah,
I had to change that. I'm not doing fucking numbers.
Now, when are you guys? Now, how long before you guys get a TikTok? That's the question.
TikTok just got banned today.
Well, we'll see.
Allegedly,
we'll see.
I did. This. I post. We have like 8 or 9 reels up on our Instagram account.
I don't know what any of that is. I don't do Instagram.
Yeah, neither do I. I'm trying to figure out how to run reels, but you should get in contact with. Get in contact with Mario from hashtag, because he does for an old man. He knows how to work the social medias.
He works with the children. He knows what
that's true. He probably has one of his high school students running the accounts for him.
He's spying on them. He's like over there collecting.
He's probably doing it as school projects, like make posts to my social media accounts, and I'll give you an A.
Well,
oh my God.
Well, speaking of Mario. Of the shit that I've posted, you can do a cover photo for him. So I've been mocking up just basic shit in Photoshop, and I did one of Paul Wineski talking about Clelin Ferrell, who the Bills might sign. Now I did the cover photo for it, and I did black lettering with a red outline. I'm like, oh, this kind of looks cool, and then I posted the video. And so, if you're on Instagram, you can't even read it, the lettering. So I'm like, okay, well, this is going to get no views. Over 500 views on that Clelin Ferrell reel that I made.
You have to figure out the algorithm, sir.
I don't know how to. You know how I'm going to figure out that algorithm? From the free agency show where you talked about your Mario Williams situation. If you don't think that's a reel, think that's a reel, and I'm tagging Greg Thompson, you're out of your fucking mind.
Hey, time, tragedy plus time
equals comedy.
That's the rule, folks. Well, I don't make the rules, I just adhere to them. That situation now in retrospect is funny, but I'll tell you what's not funny. Literally being handed someone else's suitcase and a cell phone and being told, I don't care where you go, just get the hell out of here. And you're like, well, shit. Where is my life?
You don't got to go home, but you can't stay here.
But then I do go home, and my first thought isn't to, weep about the fact that my relationship of 2.5 years is probably over. Instead, it's, I wonder if Mario Williams is still in Buffalo. Like this is dysfunction.
Those fuckers didn't let him leave, did they?
This is dysfunction at its peak. And so is this podcast, because we're literally here to talk about Bills adjacent news that might not have gotten addressed elsewhere this week. I want to start with this idea that Dion Dawkins just gave everybody a lesson in why social media is we're sitting here talking about. Now, Chris, if you want to go ahead and plug our new Instagram one more time.
The Rockpile Report podcast.
On Instagram, folks, give us a follow. I've never asked you all to do anything for us. I don't ask for... Here's the funny thing. Most podcasts and most people who do YouTube go... Oh,
hit that subscribe button.
Hit subscribe and like and do all these things and share our content and go leave a review. I once got threatened to be fired from a part-time job at Blockbuster because I refused to sell candy. And the reason I refused to push candy, they were like, your candy sales are way down compared to everybody else's. I go, yeah, because if it happens, it's an accident. I will never push this because I hate it. I detest people who come to me and give me homework because I'm here watching you do something. If you come to a video store, you're here to buy the video. If you happen to buy candy, it's by accident. That's what it's there for. They go, no, you got to push it. I won't. I never will.
I won't.
So if you don't like it, fire me. I do the same. I take the same shtick with our podcast. I'm never going to self-aggrandize, or well, I will self-aggrandize. I won't promote. Because if you like it, like it. And if you don't, I'm not going to ask you to because it's not for you.
I'm not here for you.
I'm not here for you. And yet, here I am asking you guys, just follow the Instagram. And if you hate it, unfollow it.
It's like Bomani Jones on his show. He did a kind of a little bit of a tirade about that where he's like, why am I carrying around a device that lets you talk shit to me kind of thing, talking about like Twitter and all that. He goes, let's not forget what the hierarchy on this is. You're here to listen to me talk.
Yeah.
The minute you start talking, I stop giving a fuck about this relationship.
Yeah.
And that's you to a T when it comes to social media.
Well, if you don't want to follow or Instagram or whatever, you hate it, comment on every reel and tell us
how much you hate it. Right.
So
I want to hear.
That's just a cue for Mark Smith to get an Instagram and comment
do it, Mark.
on
You
all
won't.
of our reels.
I want to hear.
You won't leave a meme on every single video they make.
If you hate it, I want you to tell me about. First of all, Kirk Cousins being on NFL Total Access right now, gloating about his giant contract, is the whitest thing I've ever seen. Like he looks
I'll tell you what, he puts together a nice outfit from Kohl's. I did not know that you could look that good dressing from Kohl's.
Chris, first of all, that's a like he has the Windsor, but look at the rest of that tie. That's a dog shit tie.
It's a full Windsor. That's the kind of guy that should be VP. It's this guy.
It's so easy. Like most of what we do here on this podcast, like we talk about football, but it's a lot of shit talking. It's more just making fun of things. That's my relationship with social media. If you come at me with the wrong energy, I don't care if it burns the whole thing down. I'll eviscerate you. Why? Because that's what I would do if you did it in person.
That's true. As someone who knows you in person, it's true.
Speaking of social media, it's interesting that Dion Dawkins...
Going back to the Dion Dawkins thing, is this where I get to do the I was right?
Yeah, you get to...
I get to do the I was right like all the other Bills content creators do? Do I get to retweet my own tweet just in case you didn't see it because it was too late at night when I originally made the post? So I'll retweet it at 9 a.m.-ish when you might see it? This is where I get to do the I was right thing?
Oh, yeah. I fucking hate it. Dude, nothing I want to put it... Like we were talking about in our last show. It's the worst. Like, Nick Morrow would have been... Dude, don't even...
Nailed it 3 years ago. I wanted them to sign him.
3 years ago, I wanted that dude. I'm so pumped. I'm the man because I saw it coming. No, you're not. You're an idiot. You're an idiot because you spent...
You're the guy who does 19 mock drafts and then says, nailed the first round pick.
I saw the Nick Morrow signing and I dug for 45 seconds. And then I go, wait a minute. What are you doing?
What am I doing?
Stop this. don't. You don't need to know when you called your shot. I just know that there was one time years ago when I got drunk and yelled the name Nick Morrow would make sense for Don't brag about that.
Yeah.
So Dion Dawkins gave us all a lesson in social media usage because Here it is. He knows everybody's watching.
Sure.
He gets the
He
call.
timed it really well.
He gets the call from his agent that goes, hey, man, the Bills are going to extend you. And in about 60 minutes, they're going to announce it. And he goes, oh, word? All right. And just does one of these and gets on his cell phone and tweets out the most cryptic, almost like...
Well, no, he did it the right way because it was an Instagram post.
Yeah.
It was an Instagram reel.
Yeah.
And then he deleted it. And then he put it back up.
Yeah.
So it was like the perfect combination of...
People are like, wait, is this happening? Is it?
Yeah.
Because he knows that every single media outlet out there is scrambling to try to get scoops. Mm-hmm. Because we've become this hot take society where you have to have the perfect take in the perfect moment. That's how you get eyeballs. So he knows if I even chum the water a little bit, they'll just be, they're in. Not even circling, they're just going to dive in and take the bait.
Yeah. Well, like Ian Rappaport did, right?
Ian Rappaport.
Immediately retweeted it.
It was
Immediately quote tweeted it and said,
I'm at work.
Looks like he's on the move.
I'm at work and I'm getting 7, 9, I counted them, 14 text messages from different people asking, why are the Bills cutting Deion Dawkins? I was like, what the fuck are you talking? I'm at work.
Yeah.
I'm busy. We're not cutting Deion Dawkins. I never went to Google. I didn't do the thing that most people do where you just like knee jerk pull up Twitter to be like, what are they talking about? No. I was like, I'm busy. This is nonsense. You're all high. None of this is real. And sure enough, 5 minutes later, getting text messages. No, it turns out it was a thing. So I texted my buddy Doug, and I was like, Doug was the last one to text me and go, dude, why are we cutting Deion Dawkins? And I just sent him the DJ Khaled, congratulations, you played yourself. Like, what are you doing? This is all stupid. And then he put out a tweet. He goes, what are you all crazy? I would never leave.
Yeah.
This is a guy who's put this city on his back and has kind of made Buffalo like his place. He's Buffalo through and through, and he said it ever since we talked about it earlier. Players Tribune article after the 2019 loss to the Houston Texans.
2017.
No,
or
2019.
2019, you're right. Yep.
So he kind of gives up this idea that this isn't the end, it's the beginning. Because we're putting down roots here. We're making this our home. We're doing this. We're doing that. He became the face of kind of like whether people want to acknowledge it or not, he's a face of our franchise. Who, when you look around on national podcasts and national TV shows and video interviews, who do you see? You see Josh Allen, but Von Miller, where's he?
He does his own show, so he's not on any of the other shows. Yeah.
Where is Ed Oliver?
Hey, I got to jump in here for a second.
Where is Stephon Diggs?
Hey. When did the NFL hire Grimace?
You're so mean. Dude, see, this is the stuff I'm talking about where he says something and nobody knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
It's just me.
Yeah.
Like he pulled up something when we were talking about Miami. And all of a sudden there's a graphic on the screen and I go, all right, Kanye, calm down over there. I'm the only one who knows how offensive it is. I'm the only one. We're terrible people, guys, but we love you. I love this.
That was just whoever's hosting NFL Total Access.
I know. And you
looking dressed in all purple.
Here's what I know. So Deion Dawkins did this, but Ryan, I know he's not being this deep about it, or he's not trying to be meta.
Yeah.
Because that's a millennial thing that I'm not even going to try to get into. Being meta. They're like, well, I was trying to make it like a statement. But it is. Because he knew that he knew he was getting paid. Mm-hmm. And he knew that he was going to be here long term. And yet he chose to say something cryptic and drive everybody crazy because he knew that there would be multiple media outlets that would be falling all over themselves to try to be the first ones to report it.
Yep.
And now it all just makes them look like idiots, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's kind of underscoring, like, guys, get off social media. Get off.
Or
stop overanalyzing.
Or just give it a beat. Yeah. Like, sometimes just give it a minute.
Let it breathe.
Yeah, give it a minute.
Let it breathe.
Yeah.
And instead, his epic troll ended up making a lot of smart people look really stupid.
Yeah.
All over the country. in media rooms everywhere. On NFL Network, the pundits who were there on air talking about it, well, apparently Deion Dawkins is on his way out. Do they not feel the least bit of shame being like, God, we got had?
Nah.
Or are you bulletproof when you make it to that?
I think once you make it to that level, the check's coming either way.
See, the funny thing is I'm at this level and I'm bulletproof. Like,
Yeah.
I have no shame.
Yeah.
But realistically, it was an awesome troll, and I'm happy he did it. I'm also happy he reworked his deal, because that's nice.
Yeah.
We extend you. We
Save some money.
Save some money.
Locks down left tackle for a couple more seasons.
We know we have a functional left tackle
Yep.
compared to most of our division.
Yeah.
There's no who else in the AFC.
There's not a
can
question
say
mark
that.
at the most important position on the offense other than the quarterback.
Chris is the layperson in terms of football here. How many other teams in the AFCs can say they have a bona fide, week in, week out, trustworthy, durable left tackle?
Not a lot of them.
None of them.
But I mean, I don't know.
It's just us.
I don't know how in depth you've gone into it before. You and Dion and the couch.
Oh, yeah. Me and Dion, we disposed of Reed Ferguson's couch, and it was one of the funniest interactions. Like, me getting to meet and then getting to know Dion a little bit after that. Like, just... It's funny the people you run into and kind of how you make... And there again, like, Cover One does a great job of, like, networking with players. And they're very forward about it. Hey, we know this guy. We talked to this guy. Talk to guys. I just don't feel like it's worth talking about because we don't talk about things of value. I just talk to them because they're people. And that guy's kind of cool. So we're trying to dispose of a couch. Now, mind you, this was Reed Ferguson, like, still on his rookie deal, like his first deal. He doesn't know if he's going to be here.
Right.
But he's got a townhouse at the Hammocks where all the other players who are getting paid are living. And he's buying a used couch. So we have to drive to a very nice neighborhood, and it was Chris. It was one of those things where the house was so nice they had a living room where you're not allowed to sit in it.
Okay.
And we were taking that couch out of their looking room.
Oh, okay.
And putting
Their sitting room?
Their sitting room where no one's actually allowed to sit.
You don't actually sit in the sitting room, right?
And then we were taking that to Reed's townhouse. And so then we had to drag his old couch out. And so we get it to the dumpster, and he's arguing with me about, I was like, we're putting it in. He's like, well, we should call management and ask them if it's okay. I go, you don't ask. You just do.
Yeah.
You do, and then you ask for forgiveness afterwards if he says it's wrong.
Yeah. If it shows up on the security cameras, yeah.
So we're going back and forth about this. Well, on a pair of four-wheelers is Robert Foster and Deion Dawkins. Robert Foster almost crashes his four-wheeler into the side of my truck. And it would have been one of those moments of like, should I have parked somewhere else? Like, did I just ruin our season? Like,
Yeah.
So we get out, and now they're talking, and he tries to pawn the couch off on Dion. And the first question Dion asks is, he goes, that couch, yours? And he goes, yeah. He goes, well, me and Colton, because Colton Schmidt lived with him before that. And he goes, y'all been farting in that thing? And Reed just starts laughing and can't answer him with a straight face. I go, dude, you know they're farting in that thing. He goes, nah, I don't want no fart couch in my house. He goes, I don't need nobody. He goes, I don't need no other man's farts in my house. So he goes, so what y'all doing with it? And I go, we're throwing it in the dumpster. He's crying about it. And he looks at me, and Reed's trying to plead his case, and Dion just shuts Reed right off and just looks at me and he goes, we're putting it up. He and I got to take this couch and throw it in the dumpster. I got my end over the fence. Dion threw his so hard, it almost helicoptered out the other side. And I was like, oh, that's the difference between us.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're a monster.
Yeah, you're big. Yeah.
You're a monster, and I'm just a dude.
Yeah, you're NFL strong. You're not just normal guy strong.
And so then we got to talking about it, and I was just laughing because I go, was farts really a deal breaker? And he just burst out laughing. He's like, yo, this guy's funny. I mean, yeah, I'm kind of. I'm also a dick, but it's all right.
Yeah.
And so, like, there was a thing there, but that was my favorite interaction with Dion because that's that's just a dude who's a dude everywhere. There's no aggrandization. He doesn't carry himself bigger than he needs to. He just showed up and was like, Chris, he could have big timed Reed, but he actually considered taking that couch. But he was like, have you been farting on that thing?
Yeah.
I love the fact that he's here. You know, and in this week's show about free agency, we talked about culture carrier stuff. I really believe that has value. And it shows. And I love the fact that he did that because it set the national media on fire and puts all the attention back on Buffalo for 30 seconds and then makes them all look stupid for 30 seconds. He got his pound of flesh. He got paid. He built cap space for us. That's a home run in my mind.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Now, there's another topic in Bills news.
Have you drank that yet?
No, I'm working on it.
He's been sipping it.
Oh, you've been sipping it.
I'm sipping it. There's another dynamic taking place here. For those of you who are season ticket holders who are listening to this, by now you've already gotten your emails about your new ticket rep. Your new ticket rep, who will be taking over once you move to transition to the new stadium. This entire thing is frustrating to me. A little bit. So back when the Buffalo Bills were making this bid for a new stadium, we contracted Jerry Jones's company, Legends in Sports Entertainment.
Yep.
And in that way, I kind of had confidence that we were going to get this done. Because Jerry Jones, say what you want about the guy, his greed allows him to accomplish things that other people can't.
Yeah, he's a businessman.
He's a businessman and he's cutthroat. So knowing that Jerry Jones was backing this endeavor, I kind of knew it was going to get over the finish line, which made me confident we would keep our team and things were going to be copacetic. But there was always going to be a cost. And you started to see some of the trickle down of that as soon as the deal got signed. You watched executives being let go and released and then replaced by other people who had these like loose ties to Jerry Jones. And then they started being less subtle about it when Delaware North, a Buffalo-based company owned by the Jacobs family, who can't own a Buffalo sports team because they own the Boston Bruins. I guess they could have owned the Bills, but they couldn't own the Sabres because they already own the Bruins. They lost their contract that they've held for 20 years, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Long time, yeah.
To Legends in Sports Entertainment for the beverage and food distribution rights. Now, mind you, their food and beverage situation isn't great.
Yeah.
But how much of that do you put on Delaware North and how much do you put on the Bills and just the facility itself?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know enough about it. I know there's no actual cooking.
There's no kitchens.
There's no kitchens within the stadium, so I'm sure that limits your options when it comes to what you can do.
So what can Delaware North do?
Right.
So they lost their contract because Jerry Jones wants that piece. Mm-hmm. They also lost their groundskeeping and all of the maintenance, the facilities maintenance contracts all went to Legends in Sports. So then we all as season ticket holders, get these emails about here's your new season ticket rep. And it took me less than 35 seconds to figure it out.
Well, first we got the emails.
We were in the chat together.
You will be getting a new ticket rep.
Yeah.
Here's your new guy. Out shortly. Yes,
and
here's your new name and they'll reach out to you.
And here's the worst part. They showed you a picture of him. And if I can go back, I want to see if I can find it. Ryan, our chat that night on the topic of those
I think
guys,
it was just through text, wasn't it? Because I don't think you and I did it.
We were in the chat. We were in the chat and we were talking about what they looked like. And you were like, this guy looks like he thinks he's too good for that job, but he's not.
Yeah.
So, guys, imagine a whole bunch of dudes who own multiple pairs of Sperry's.
Yes.
Like boat shoe wearing motherfuckers. This is the entire... Yeah, look at Chris right now. It's a whole bunch of Chris's.
I got my...
For those who aren't watching, Chris is hiding behind his computer screens.
I got my Sperry's.
Imagine a whole crew of these guys.
I do have to find it.
Like guys who look like Blazer and Chet and...
Blazer and Laser and Glazer. From Dodgeball?
Yeah. They just look like smarmy douches.
I think I called them, they look like a bunch of herbs.
You said herbs
at one point.
Yeah, you said they look like a bunch of herbs. And it was the best thing. I said the one guy looks like he probably drives a BMW, but also like goes everywhere with the giant BMW keychain just so everybody knows that when he's not in it, he actually he still drives a BMW. And then you were like, that guy looks like he thinks he's too good for this job, but he's not.
Yeah.
And then he goes, this one guy looks like he works for mortgage servicing. And he goes to the conferences and then just has to hand out enough business cards to justify the open bar.
You said one of them looks like the guy who has a BMW keychain, not the car, just the keychain.
Not the car, just the keychain, and walks around with it trying to prove he's important.
I said I fully expect mine to start his email with, "Oh, hello, sir. How's this fine day treating you?"
They all look like smarmy D.
And then I said one of them looks like someone that Spencer German would podcast with.
Yes, and that's a stray for Spencer, but hey, he can take one. What I love is the idea that our homegrown Buffalo Bills employees who have been working in the Bills ticket office as direct hire employees for 20 years are all being laid off. That entire section of the workforce is being sacrificed because Jerry Jones gets to control every single back office aspect of the new stadium.
Yeah, I remember very, very vividly. There was a situation for my father-in-law. We got 10 tickets in one of the clubs for one of the games. I don't remember. You remember what game it was? It's irrelevant to the situation. But we had 10 people that were going. It was for my father-in-law's birthday, I believe. And I reached out to my ticket rep ahead of time, worked with them, got the tickets, made sure that things were good. I said, I got people coming in different vehicles. Not everybody's going to show up together. Like, this was like right when they were starting to do the digital ticket option, but they weren't making it like a requirement kind of thing, right? So I was like, I want to make sure I got this all worked out. So it all, kind of all got to the point where 8 of us got in, 2 more came like 10 minutes later, and they couldn't get in. One of the tickets was a duplicate ticket, right? Like whatever. Like one of us, the 8 who came in, somehow the tickets got switched to where we had already scanned it. They couldn't get in. And I remember being able to get a hold of my ticket rep.
Yep.
She was in the office. She came to the club, worked through it with me, made sure, and that's what we're losing, right? We're losing the entire purpose of the ticket rep is if I have a question about my tickets,
I can get a hold of
this
somebody.
is who I go to.
And they're
right?
here.
And they're here. My
local
guy
in Buffalo.
My new guy lives in California.
My guy is the former Ohio State kicker.
Yeah.
He used to kick for Ohio State, and now he lives in Texas. Mm-hmm. And he's working remote on behalf of this fucking
And there's
company.
a couple of them who live in California who were doing some stuff with one of the California AAA baseball teams or whatever. But my question is that if I have a question at 11 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday, because...
Can I get a hold of this guy?
Is he going to be awake? Like, was he going to be partying too hard the night before, going to, whatever, some club that guys with BMW keychains go to? Like, is he going to be too hungover from doing Quaaludes the night before to where I'm not going to be able to get a hold of him? But, I mean, that's one of the concerns that I think we share is, all jokes aside, right?
The service level is going to decline.
What is the white glove service we're going to get compared to what we've gotten over the last few years? And listen, I've had my fair share of issues with that season ticket situation, right?
Well, my favorite, we talked about.
We don't get any type of season ticket holder benefits.
No,
right?
And
we get a gift card that we get to go spend at the Bills store, right?
Yeah.
Like mighty white of them, right? To hand us a card that we can then reuse to spend in the stadium on more shit to do with this football team.
Hey guys, we'll give you a card that's a percentage of your season ticket holder cost, and you can spend it in the stadium on anything you want.
Right.
Of course I can spend it here.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you let me just, like, you're giving me something for free that I've already paid for.
Right. I always look forward to around like August every year when all the other teams in the NFL are like, oh, look at my season ticket holder gift this year. And they open it up and it's like this glowing box with like, oh, I got the choice between a flag or a scarf or a blanket or whatever. And I'm like, cool, I get $60 of my dollars back that I can go spend on a
Last year
knockoff
we got
jersey.
Fuck all.
Yeah.
And I don't care. See, I guess my thing is I'm not so caught up in the things. I don't need a tchotchke. I don't need a thing. I don't need you to acknowledge me.
Well,
I travel light.
it's about the acknowledgement for me. Like if the tchotchke represents the acknowledgement, that's what it's about for me. Like I spend a lot of money And I've been a season ticket holder longer than you have. I've been a season ticket holder. This would be my 22nd season this year.
Yeah, you've got
as a season ticket holder. I was here when nobody was here. I was in that stadium when there was nobody in that stadium. I can't remember how many games I sat in that stadium next to nobody,
Chris,
watching these football games.
I
can't get a flag?
There was a game, I'll never forget it. Our usher, Tony, we're looking, and it's Bills, Browns. There's 33,000 people in the stadium. It's late November, early December. Both teams are just losers. Everything sucks. Rex Ryan's on the ropes, probably going to get fired. He went on to get fired. So our friend Dan had sold his ticket for $65 at the start of the season to somebody else. And then that weekend, his plans that he had since the start of the season fell through. So he bought one off StubHub that cost $18, including fees. And just showed up at the stadium. And there was a kid who got drunk and just fell asleep laying down on the bleachers. And there was so much room, no one cared. And the usher looked at him and was like, he's not hurting anybody. We'll just let him sleep. And so there was just a drunk guy sleeping on a bleacher behind me. It was Major League. You got to live it. I got to live it. We lived Major League.
I was there. I was a season, the first year, second or third year. I mean, Mike Mularkey was the head coach. That's how long I've had season tickets. I had season tickets when Mike Mularkey was the head coach of the Buffalo Bills. Like, again, I have a flag that I hang on the front of my house every year. I don't need a flag. But I've been here for a long goddamn time, right? Like, can I get something other than $60 to buy one long sleeve T-shirt a year? That's my money.
And so this is where this becomes offensive, because what they're going to do is they're going to fire our people.
Yeah.
And move in these guys from God knows where. And so when you move into the new stadium, you're like, oh, this is going to be great. It's a new facility. It's wonderful. Who are you going to contact when you have problems?
Right.
They're not here. They don't care. They're not a part of this community. They're not a part of this thing.
There's no transparency around any of this, right? Like, we were even talking off air before we started recording. Like, am I going to deal with this guy just until the new stadium opens and then I'm going back to my ticket rep? Like, what's the dynamic here? Because our current ticket reps are Buffalo Bills employees. Like, they are Bills employees.
I thought you were lying, so I looked it up. Zach Richards, my guy. You can go to his LinkedIn. He is a Buffalo Bills employee.
Yeah, and I looked at mine. Nadia Warren. She's awesome. I love dealing with Nadia on a regular basis. She's been with the team for almost 10 seasons.
I'll tell you what, if this is the last year that I have Zach as our guy, I want to give him a giant shout out and an apology. I'm sorry for every year inundating you with complaints about the $1 convenience fee. But I make it hurt.
I'd like to give a shout out to JP, because fuck that guy. When I got separated and I contacted him to get into Section 200, he said, "Oh, you're not gonna. No chance."
And then I gave him Zach's number.
Yeah, and then and then you called me like a season later, and were like, you said, "Hey, the seat next to me has been available for years, and they wanted to know if I wanted to make it a part of my package."
Do you want?
Yeah, and I'm like, yeah. I called JP last year, and he said there was no such seat available, just for one person. I just need one person.
I just want one ticket.
Yeah, so JP can go fuck all off.
It's amazing the experiences we've had with these people, and yet I'm going to miss it. I'm going to miss that personalized experience. Like, just that thing that I know that there's a guy in my time zone in my city who I can call with him when I have a problem.
Yeah.
I don't have problems. I am a problem. I am
You are the problem.
I am the problem. I don't have problems. But if I did, I know that there's someone I can turn to. Like your example you just gave. We're surrendering something crazy at the behest of this new stadium. And so with that, there's a dynamic playing out locally that I think that you and I have to talk about.
Yes.
And not to talk about it. I'm going to yell at you about it. Chris, I'm Pearl Harboring Ryan with this right now. The Buffalo Sabres, are you aware of their policy change for season ticket holders?
No.
Oh.
So he's going to tell you, and then I will put it back into proper
so
context.
I'm going to give you the Cliff Notes. Governor Hochul is forcing people who sell more than $5,000 worth of tickets a year. Now think about what hockey tickets cost.
Yep.
Season tickets, how much that costs. If you sell more than $5,000 worth of tickets a year, you have to register with the state for a license in order to do so. You have to actually go through the state process of being licensed as a ticket vendor. And if not, if you don't do it by April 8th, they will not sell you season tickets. Now, how do you feel about that hearing at it? Just hearing what I just laid out.
I mean,
because I'm doing a bad job of explaining it. Like I'm stumbling over my words because I'm trying to think faster than I can.
So for the Sabres, I try to go to the home opener and maybe like during the summer you plan to go to the home opener and then also because nobody believes in the team.
Yeah.
Also buy tickets to the last home game in hopes that that's like a playoff defining game.
Yeah.
Which this year it could be, right?
If you're
So the context of this, Chris. So the context of this is just to frame it, right? Is we all know that there's a percentage of people out there who purchase season tickets for the sole purpose of reselling them. There is a secondary market for tickets,
Chris,
right?
The idea that you just talked about, the dynamic that there was a ticket next to me that I never knew the person who was going to sit there, but somebody owned it.
Yeah.
And then my ticket guy came to me and said, "Hey, it's open. You want it?"
I'm just curious to know how this is going to work for when I go to StubHub or insert secondary market. Are those like tickets
let Ryan let Ryan talk about it.
So what predicated this? What predicated this was that there was a letter sent to a select number of Sabres season ticket holders, and they were all out of state, and it made up for 1% of the total season ticket holder base of people who had sold tickets. And one of the guys that was used as an example had sold, including Bandits tickets. He also had season tickets to the Bandits. 80% of the games that he was eligible to attend, meaning he had tickets because of season tickets, he had sold them on the secondary market. Just one example, right? But it was 1% of the season ticket holder base, and every single one of them were out-of-state residents. They got a letter that said, you are no longer eligible to receive season tickets because you've sold a certain percentage of your tickets. You're not using them to attend games. You're using them as a resale. You need to either register by this date with the state, which means if you sell over $5,000 worth, there's taxes and all that type of implications. Because, again, money made in a state is taxable 100%, by that state.
I understand.
Right? So if you're from Pennsylvania buying season tickets for the sole purpose of reselling them, you're making money in New York State, even though you live in Pennsylvania. That money's earned in New York State. You need to pay tax on it, right? So they sent the letter, register. If you're not registered, come this date, which is when season tickets re-up, you will not be able to get season tickets. So now Drew and a lot of people on social media, not just Drew, but Drew is, as we know, a drunken knee-jerk reaction guy, have taken this and they've gone, what are they doing? This is complete overreach. How dare they tell me what I can do with my tickets after I purchase my tickets? Instead of being the Drew who consistently bitches about people sitting behind him in the Bill Stadium. These assholes sitting behind me, they never come to these games. They always sell them. I'm always sitting next to Bengals fans and Patriots fans and Browns fans, and how dare they? Instead of being the guy that's like, oh, this could be good because maybe there won't be Bengals fans and Browns fans and Patriots fans sitting behind me because the assholes won't be able to buy them anymore, and maybe Bills fans will buy them. He's worried that somehow his rights are being infringed. Do not tread on me, all of that. That goes along with it.
Here's what I love about this conversation. People know that we're friends.
Yes.
Like, people who watch this show know we're friends. And they think they understand what that is. I'm like, no. No, Ryan and I are good friends. We're friends. We talk about, like, we spend a small amount of time talking about very real things and having real conversations with each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's like an island in just what is a sea of detritus and ball busting and just sarcasm and mean-spirited jokes. But at the same time, we're cut from the same cloth. We get that. And then the best part is sometimes we get to team up on somebody else like the Dudley Boys in the WWF. Mario.
Yeah.
Mario from #sports. And we're just mean-spirited about our sense of humor.
Yeah.
We're cut from the same cloth, so this is nice, and we can have all these conversations. I've been waiting all week to have this conversation with you because I feel like you're trying to lay out why this is correct. What I'd like to kind of expand on is why you're telling people that as sole individuals, right? You think you're doing a good thing, which is, well, we're going to preserve the atmosphere. And that's the way it was spun by the local media. In a move to preserve the atmosphere, they're going to start boxing out these resellers who just sell to everybody else. Okay, but what about real resellers? What happens to the StubHubs who have bot accounts who just go on StubHub and buy up every ticket that's not held by a season ticket holder for a given event, and then they sell them in the secondary market? What standard are you holding them to? Are you getting your tax value out of them? I just want to make sure that they're holding those entities to the same standard. Because what I don't like is that there's a bunch of people who live out of state who can't travel in for every game. Mm-hmm. So you're right. They're going to buy 42 games out of a hockey season and sell a lot of them. But they'll come to the weekend games. They'll come to the ones where they can make it a weekend in Buffalo because they enjoy being here. You're putting them out and then saying, hey, it's okay though because those people will leave the season ticket holder pool. And then those tickets will go back out there for public consumption. You know, the same public that constantly complains that by the time they get in line to buy a ticket, these giant secondary producers of tickets have already scooped them and are now selling them at advance rates.
Well, so I guess...
So are you making the world a better place by taking them out of the hands of season... Because I'll tell you what, I was facing a conundrum tonight, and you heard me figure it out with Chris, where I go, I have 4 tickets. I could keep buying them, but I have 2 people, myself and Chris. I love James. I love Dan. I understand that their familial duties require them to not be at every single Bills home game anymore because they live in Rochester. They're an hour away. And
no, I'm an hour away too. So
I know.
I'll make it work.
But your kids are older. Also, your wife's a saint.
I have an understanding wife.
Also, you have a very understanding. So do I.
Yeah.
Oh my God. If my wife wasn't understanding, she would have killed me in my sleep and collected it. She would have killed me in my sleep, made it look like an accident, and collected the life insurance money a long time ago.
Yeah. I mean, Lord knows she could shove you off a ladder and no one would bat an eye.
I tell her all the time, like, I fell off the roof I fell off the roof the one time. So here's me and my father after that big winter storm. We fixed the soffit. Like, we had to rebuild the...
It was when you sent me the picture and I said you might want to scrape the snow off the roof.
Yes!
And then the roof partially,
And then the roof partially caved in. Not caved in, but like when all the ice fell off, it tore not only the gutter, but the entire soffit off my house.
And I did, as an illustration of our friendship, I did make the point to point out that I had told you.
Yeah, you were like, oh, I did tell you.
I did say you might want to do something about that.
So we rebuilt it.
Yeah.
And then my dad left me the snow rake, and I was like, well, fuck it, I'm going to go up here. And then I had a couple beers, and I was like, well, I'm going to go up on this other roof, and I'm going to go up
as
there
one
and
does
scrape
when he's
that
working
one.
in the cold, right?
And I'm going to go scrape that roof off, too. And so now I'm up on, like, what is a 1-story roof, looking up at a 2-story roof, and I was like, I wonder how high I can get on there. And I fell off that roof, and if there wasn't snow on my patio, that's a rough fall.
Yeah.
And
Larissa it would not be difficult for her to make it look like an accident.
But the conversation that I had with her, because she's like, I heard something, and then you were just getting out of a snowbank, and I lied to her, and I was like, no, I didn't fall. No, that's not what you saw. Yeah. And she goes, the ladder you're in a snowbank?
Yeah.
Like, wait.
Not rocket science here, Drew.
So then I told her, I go, listen, because then she's like, well, what if you actually got hurt? And I told her, I go, honey, with the life insurance money, you can buy a husband with better teeth.
Yeah,
you can afford a husband with better teeth.
Yeah, you could buy one that doesn't require as much work as I do. So here's what I'll ask. But
what I'm trying to get at is this idea that, like, we're altruists here. We understand each other. I'm looking at this going, I hate the idea that there's people who are going to get screwed by this, right? Who reasonably are in a position like me, who are going to not be in a position to hold them. Dan, James, they're not here full time. So now I'm going to carry 2 more season tickets. Or I'm going to shave down. I don't know. I decided in the moment tonight, I'm going to keep them. And what's funny about this is that if I sell those, am I now like what? Well, like now let's say for a whole season, Dan and James don't come to a single game, so I have to sell them. And let's say the Bills are doing well and the games are garnering $200 a seat. Am I now going to be forced to register? What you're doing is you're setting a precedent that the state can tell you what you can and can't sell that's yours.
Well, I mean,
they can. I get it.
I mean, that's the entire premise of state tax, though.
I understand state tax, but the platform is already taxing it. Now they're saying you have to get a license in order to do it in New York State. So what happens if you're someone who lives just a little bit farther away? Because like right now, Rochester is an hour. And for my friends who had this with me, it's too far for them to continue having it on a full-time basis. If you go an hour south, you're in Erie, PA. So if I'm a Bills fan who lives in Erie, PA, or who's a fan like Kyle Trimble, who grew up in Erie, PA, Chris?
Yeah, he lives here.
He lives here now. Erie, PA guy. What happens if you have guys like him who are like, hey, I went back home, I found a job, I love it here. I don't want to leave Erie, but I also want to be a Bills season ticket holder. I'm only an hour away. I should do that. But then also, I have 4 tickets and I should sell 2 of them every game, and they're $250 a seat and on the open market, whatever it is. Is that guy going to have to register now? Yeah. Should he have to relinquish his tickets because he chose to?
I mean, you're asking two different questions in my opinion, right? So
because the moment that guy gives them up, here's the thing: when you as a single seller on the market puts them on StubHub, you have control over who buys them.
You don't have any control over who buys them.
No. But you are putting them out there at a set price that you set. What happens is, when you remove that from the marketplace, I know what you think you're doing for New York State. You're going, well, tax this and well, everything has to be taxable and tax has to be accounted for, so we're going to control this and we're going to... Okay, so then you take those guys out of the market and you make those tickets up for grabs.
Well, you're not. Then
StubHub comes and sweeps them up with their bots and then charges double the rate for them. Are you bettering the fan experience?
You're conflating 2 things, right? So for one, the question that I'll ask is for the Sabres. Like, Chris, is it difficult right now if you were to go on the day tickets go on sale and you wanted to go buy a specific game or a couple different games throughout the year? Is it tough for you to get tickets? Just to go right to the Sabres site?
I don't think it would be, but I've only bought seats for games off of StubHub.
Like StubHub, because it's usually cheaper, right? It's going to be cheaper than face value in most cases, or you'll be able to get better seats. Kind of pick your seats
I think it's similar.
Yeah, so basically, what I'm getting at is you can't take the Bills and apply this to the Sabres. The Bills have a waiting list of season ticket holders. So your 2 friends in this example who have 4 tickets when they really only need 2 and they're going to sell 2. My answer is yes, they should give up those extra 2 because there's people on the waiting list from Buffalo or the area that will come to every game or most every game that will buy those 2. There's already an established waiting list.
I'm not going to lie. The fact that the way you're explaining it right now makes me want to keep those forever just to box them out.
Right. So the fact that there's somebody out there who's like, well, I'm going to get 2 just for the sake of reselling the 2. There's people on the waiting list who genuinely want to go to games that are always going online and having to buy in that secondary market. Right. Yeah. So I think that's one thing. So from a Bills season ticket holder fan perspective, I want everyone in the stadium to be a Bills fan. So if there's season ticket holders that are selling on the secondary market, there's a non-zero chance that those will be non-Bills fans that buy those tickets, right?
Yeah.
Whereas if you're a wait list season ticket holder, chances are you're not a Bengals fan from Cincinnati who's on the Bills season ticket holder waiting list. That's probably not happening, right? Because you only play in Buffalo every 8 years or every 6 years, whatever it works out. So Bills, absolutely. If you're not using your tickets and this is coming from someone, I just gave up 2 tickets because I just wasn't using them with the frequency that I thought I would, so I went back down to 4 where I had 6, right? So I just gave up 2 tickets going into this year. Sabres, they're not to the point yet where they need to really be worried about the season ticket holder fan base. I can't imagine that they've reached their season ticket holder cap number. So yes, you're right in that there will be more tickets released out to the marketplace, but I'm not sure that's necessarily a bad thing, because I think what it might do is actually water down the resale market, because there's more tickets that now become available because they're not being held by season ticket holders who are then going to spin around and sell them, right? It's like, I feel like there will open up the marketplace for the Sabres a little bit more. Maybe people will get more affordable tickets. Chris can get a deal on 100 levels where before he was having to sit in the 300s because, he can't afford, whatever. So
he raises his eyebrows at that.
So here's a better option. Or you have your wife who's connected and you just get free sweet tickets.
There you go. Yeah.
Because I'm going to the Sabres Flyers game April 5th. In a fucking suite. Yeah. Because I'm corporate Chris.
And I think the reality of it is the NHL is tough because the fan base just isn't that big. Right? Like, I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm not a hockey guy. You know this of me, right? Mm-hmm. I was in Philadelphia.
It's the same thing as NBA. You're either an NBA guy or an NHL guy.
It seems that way, because right? Because you can't watch both. There's 82 games a year for both, and it's like I can't. Yeah. I can barely give myself to 17 games of an NFL season. I can't give myself to 164 games between the NFL or between NHL and baseball.
But you hear talking heads on all sports media outlets talk about the NBA regular season being trash, but you as a casual fan, you're watching every game.
Yeah.
And me in the NHL side of things, I hear that also from sports media people talk about, season's too. I'm like, what are you talking about? I watch all of these games, and then it's I gotta look in the mirror and go, I'm in the minority.
You're with the NHL when I am with the NBA.
Yes,
I legitimately probably watch 500 NBA games a year. I watch NBA. I will turn it on. 7 o'clock, first tip off. I have NBA League Pass on Amazon Prime. I'll watch 4 games, 5 games, 6 games a night sometimes. Just flipping back and forth, right?
Last week, I was pissed because...
You're right. They just keep replaying for all the reasons that the Bills are in trouble. It's just the Bills' playoff game against the Chiefs.
So I think... So all that said, Drew, I think the NHL operates in a different space in that I was in Philadelphia for a work conference, and it just happened to be Flyers opening night. And it was also the World Series was
Let me ask
town.
you this. How do you get unemployment money from Pennsylvania?
That's a good question. That's a really good question. It's direct deposit as long as your bank, they have your routing number. So, but I went online and I was like, I wonder what Flyers tickets would be. It's opening night. It's the first night of the NHL season. I wonder what Flyers tickets would be. It was $45 I could get in the stadium for. I could get in the arena.
Yeah.
That's not...
But you're in the bleeds.
Oh, who cares? What do I care?
Ryan, I know you're corporate as fuck. You only sit lower bowl.
Yeah, I didn't go. I just got on out of curiosity. I was like, well, what can I go buy a ticket for to go to opening? So I think what you're worried about is creating an issue where there isn't one. I don't think that more tickets for the NHL being on the market and available, I don't think that's going to bolster the resale market. I think it's going to water it down and probably make tickets a little bit more affordable.
I can't wait to see what next year looks like when they roll this out. And then you and I can come back here and scream at each other over a handful of bourbons again.
Well, I can't wait until the letter goes out to Bills fans.
Oh, yeah, when they go, hey.
Because that's,
I'll actually start a fire.
And maybe there's a reason that it didn't go out to Bills fans. I mean, maybe it didn't go to Bills fans because it's not as big a problem as it is with... I mean, again, you talk about the guy in the example that they use in the article. This guy had between the Sabres and the Bandits, he sold 80% of the tickets.
It's Speedo again. Oh, that's the problem. It's not the season ticket thing. It's this guy in a red Speedo.
He's got you all twirled up. You've been on it all night. But if you think about if you there's 41 home games a year for the Sabres, and then I don't even know with the Bandits. I don't know how many home games.
I think that's like a football. Yeah. So you get 8 or 9.
So you get 8 or 9. So you figure 50 games on average. So if they're selling 80% of them, they went to 10 games.
Yeah.
All season. Why are you buying a season's worth of season tickets if you're only going to go to 10 games a year?
I think what we've established is that maybe there is room for more deferment to the population of these tickets. Also, maybe TV is stupid.
Is the spirit of the rule okay? Probably.
The spirit of the rule.
But being the fact that it's framed in a way, it's framed in a way of the state needs more money from this revenue, like that's where I understand. That's where I understand the problem.
I'm worried about how this impacts
because
the
it gets into rabble, government overreach,
government overreach. Don't tread on me, baby. What is it?
Out of my cold dead hands, you'll take my season tickets.
What is it? Charlie Kelly.
Yeah.
Got a flag, got a rock flag and eagle.
I mean, you and I do a lot of the, I always joke with you about the rabble harumph stuff, right? Like this is an example of like, I can see you spinning it to anti-government. How dare you take my taxes? Tell me what I can do with my money kind of stuff, right? But the spirit of the rule, I think, makes a lot of sense. And that's kind of where I'm arguing it from.
I'm willing to wait to see how it plays out, but I can't wait to come back and do this 2 years from now when it's a problem. And I can tell you I told you so.
Yeah.
Because we're all
You can
petty.
hit the retweet as much as you want.
Because
I'll be here for
petty. And that's why I love you. And that's why I love doing this show, and I love what all this is. Chris, thank you for being the producer of the Pettiest Bills podcast, where you give us a platform just to yell at each other about things.
That's what we're here for. No show next week.
Congratulations, Chris!
We got no show next week.
Woo!
I'm getting jewelry put on my hands next week.
I won't say no show. I'm doing a live show.
From the wedding?
No.
I thought you were going to live stream the wedding. You should. You should think about that. Do it on the gram.
Nah. No. Midweek, I'm going to do a live Spaces, and we're going to record.
You're still trying to make the Spaces thing happen.
Not the Spaces thing happen. I'm just going to do it, and if anybody wants to come in there and scream about something, I'm here with you. Let's yell.
You know what we should do? I'm going to talk to Mario and Paul. Let's see if we can do a hashtag thing and have you on and let folks do some live chat stuff. That'll be fun.
We do it. I'm just, because I know what's going to happen. By Wednesday, I'm going to be like, wow, this is weird. I should be doing something.
Well, something's going to happen between now and Wednesday, right? Like Eric Armstead or something's going to happen.
I wish I had a place to talk about this.
Yeah. Or you're just going to be waterboarding all your group chats and someone's going to be like, well, you need to get on a microphone.
Oh, no.
now.
Today, I got mad at one of my group chats and I just sent them all the... So for those of you out there who don't understand how Facebook actually works now, it's all boomers talking about crazy nonsense, arguing about politics that no one's listening to. Like, you're all just in your own cones of silence, arguing where you're not hurting anybody.
You're just yelling into the ether.
You're yelling into the ether. And then there's a bunch of us out here using this platform to just share memes and ideas that are wild.
Yeah.
And then what happens is you don't just open one. What it is you open two. So when they shut down the first one, you all just go to the second one.
Yeah.
And then you immediately start a third. And now you just chain this out to where we're going to use this platform to share wild shit. And then every now and again, we'll bleed over just to scare the norms. We'll find a group that we're all, hey, we'll all join it. And then we'll all just flood it with nonsense and they'll shut that down because they're like, it's infected too. And the people who started it good-naturedly will be like, we just wanted
what happened? We just wanted a safe place.
We just wanted to talk about welding. Yeah, well, guess what? We memed you to death.
Well, weld these nuts.
It's awful. We're bad people. We're not great human beings in this room, but we're good enough. And that's why you show up every week. Guys, I love you. Thank you for this. I can't wait to see what next week holds and how I pull this off without Chris. But until then...
Congratulations, Chris. Everybody raise a glass if you're listening online.
Guys, to Chris!
To Chris and the future Mrs. Chris, who's going to deal with him for the rest of his life. God bless her.
I'm Drew Gear. That's Chris Kruger. That's Ryan Lasal. This has been your Rock Pile Report.